Hey guys, Laon here. Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know already, I'm a certified life coach and a certified addiction recovery coach that teaches manifestation so then you can manifest the life of your dreams. If you want help with any one-on-one services, check out soulutionscoaching.org down in the description box below. I have group services, I have the one-on-one coaching, different packages for like mentorship, and I'm going to have an upcoming course coming out, so pay attention for that. I will announce it in one of these videos when it is launched. Please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button so that more people can see this video, and comment down below what you think and if it helps you. So I really appreciate all the support that I get on this channel. You guys have been absolutely amazing and asking amazing questions, so then I can answer them here. Today we are going to talk about conception of self. And it's going to be a very simple explanation so then you understand what's going on and how to change this conception of self. And of course, we always have a Neville Goddard lecture. So let's dive into conception of self. I am is your awareness. That is your God self, your pure self. Okay? We are all I am. We all have I am within us. And that's our imagination. That's what creates, right? That's what creates our circumstances. That's what creates the people and the way that they treat us in our lives. That's what creates our identity and how we look, how we feel, how we act, the traits that we have, like literally everything about us. The conception of self is how you identify. So the I am is all-knowing, it's God. But after that I am, we add to it, and that's our identity, our ego. So we have God and ego that we usually incorporate in a sentence, okay? So an example of this would be, I am loved, I am chosen, I am disrespected, I am ugly, I am fat, I am unwanted. All of those words that we put after I am is our identity. That's just our ego. None of those words or identities are true. That's just the state that we are in. So that means that we can change it. It's just programming. So we want to upload new software. And the way that we do that is reprogramming our mind. See, our mind is neuro, okay? So we create new neural pathways when we are doing reprogramming. And when cells fire together, they wire together. So as we think these new thoughts, the cell fires. And then as we persist in this thought and keep up with the repetition, it wires it together and creates a new neural pathway. And that just means, that our mind is moldable. We can change it. It's called neuroplasticity. And we can change our mind and mold it into whatever we want. So we can teach an old dog new tricks, which is good for us. So the way that we identify is the conception of self, the state that we are in. If we enter or want to enter into a new state, we have to start identifying as a new person and let that old ego just die. Just kill it off. Don't even resonate with that old story anymore. It's not you. It's just who you think you are, because it feels so real, okay? But once we start reprogramming and maintaining the beliefs that we do want, that is entering into a new state. And as you are in a new state, you have new beliefs, assumptions, judgments, expectations, everything. It's a brand new version of you. And we can go into states that we do want or the unwanted states, which normally if you are here trying to manifest and learn about manifesting, we are in the unwanted state. We're probably in the state of rejection, the state of not getting what we want, the state of having to work hard, the state of abandonment. It's all the negative kind of states that we don't want to experience anymore. So the way that we change that is enter into a new state and enter in new programming. And the fact that we are I am, we hold that power, that awareness. So we have to put our awareness on what we do want. So throughout your day, you might be doing affirmations or visualizations or scripting or the inner conversations. And that inner dialogue is what is solidifying these thoughts as beliefs or assumptions and then project it out into our 3D world. So to change that, we reprogram using some of these techniques. So say if we are doing affirmations and we want to be, say right now we're in the state of being unloved, unwanted, and rejected. Our person left us, we're abandoned, we're alone, we feel like this isn't ever going to work. Say we're in that state. And we want to be in the state of bliss, the state of having our romantic partner, being loved, being cared for, being chosen, and, having the love within ourselves. The way that we do that is start identifying as a new version of us. I am loved. I'm chosen. My person loves me. I am whole and complete. My life is blissful. My life is amazing. That is all explaining who you are now. And again, to create a new neural pathway, the cells fire together, so you have the new thought, and then you have to wire them together. So the repetition is what then reprograms your mind. And the old neural pathways die off, and this becomes your dominant state, your dominant pathway of how you think of yourself. And then that gets reflected out. So we can do this through any one of those techniques, whatever feels easiest to you. Say if when you enter into a visualization, you are with your person and you see the wedding ring on your finger and you are happily married, and you incorporate the emotions of just joy and just comfort. You feel loved, you feel wanted, you feel like you have it all because you are happily married to the love of your life. That scene then creates a new identity for you, because now you are the man or woman that is married, that is happy, that is in love, that is living their best life. It's really simple, guys, but we have to persist with that scene, okay, until we start to dominantly believe it, where that new neural pathway becomes solidified and wires together. And that's the part where we get tripped up, is we start identifying as this new version of us and changing our self-concept. But a lot of times we look over at our 3D and notice nothing's changing, and we start to spiral, and then that new neural pathway stops wiring together. Yeah, we fired the new thought, but it starts to fade away as we go back to the old state, the old neural pathway, and that starts to solidify this old neural pathway again, because now we just reacted that our 3D isn't changing. We bounced out of the state that we wanted, and now back to the old state, the dominant state, because those neural pathways are already fired and wired together, so they're solid. So we want to break that habit of going to our 3D for any validation. And when we do that, it creates the neural pathway, the new neural pathway, to become solid and real, and allows that old story, that old neural pathway, the old identity, the old self-concept to die. And it's no longer firing or wired together, okay? So we're throwing a little bit of science in there. That way it makes it a little bit easier to understand what we are doing here and what's going on in your brain. So we have to persist with these visualizations until it becomes your realness, your identity. As true as you think that these old thoughts or these old assumptions and this old concept of self is, we have to make this new concept of self just as real. So when you are identifying as, I am fat and ugly, that feels real to you. You look in the mirror every single day and notice, oh, I still got this pudginess here, I'm so chunky here, and oh my God, my face is breaking out, I'm so ugly. When that happens, you now just solidified that old state, those neural pathways. And we want to stop doing that. So once we start identifying in the new conception of self that I am beautiful and I am slender and my body is just perfect, I'm beautiful in every single way. When you start identifying as that, you'll notice when you look in the mirror, either your face stops breaking out and you start seeing yourself, your perception of yourself starts to change to where you're like, oh wow, I actually am really pretty. Or wow, I have nice curves. Like, look at me. And you start, actually enjoying when you look at yourself in the mirror, because you have changed that conception of self, your perception of your truth. Just because you identify as something does not mean it's true. Nothing is fact in this world. We can change everything. That's why circumstances don't matter. We just have to change our self-concept, how we think we identify as. And once we change that, then it changes everything. But we have to persist in it. So we got to keep up with our affirmations, our inner conversations and the inner dialogue, the visualizations and the scripting. Whichever technique you use, or a handful of them, whatever you use to keep you in this new state, to keep that new neural pathway firing and wiring together, we just persist with it until that becomes our truth, to where we're like, oh yeah, no shit that I'm happy, that I'm married, that I'm beautiful, my body looks perfect and amazing and sexy. You just already know it. It's a fact to you. That's as easy as it is, okay? It really is that easy. So we don't have to overcomplicate anything. So now that you know what's going on in your mind when you are manifesting and changing these conceptions of self, we have multiple conceptions of self because it's how we identify. So anytime that you say I am, we are, I have, that's how you are identifying. That does not mean that it is fact, and you can change it anytime through repetition and just reprogramming that subconscious mind. Okay, so I hope that this video was helpful. Again, hit that thumbs up button so that more people can learn about the conception of self and that self-identity, so that they can change their circumstances, change how they are identifying, and hold their power. Okay, not give it away, hold it, have it, love it, embrace it. We're going to dive into Neville's lecture next, but guys, thank you for being here. As always, you are absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to hear all the success stories of how you've changed your life through the conception of self. See you later, guys. You got this.
You are imprisoned by your present concept. You're not behind bars. You're going to go home tonight and sleep as the woman, as the man you really don't want to be. So you are in prison. Now look into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and persevere. Do not only be a hearer of what to do it. And you will be blessed in the doing. That's what Scripture teaches. Go home and read it. I am not misquoting. I am quoting accurately from the Epistle of James in the New Testament. And this is the story that I'm trying to tell everyone in the world. He said, I am not in prison. No, you're not in prison. Not physically. But you are in prison. You may today need money. And you say, oh, I'm still not like the fellows who are behind in Sing Sing. All right, you're not behind jail doors, but you are still behind. Behind in rent, behind in this, and the dunning notes from all the places where you charge, you are behind bars. You can't seem to find the necessary sum to pay them. All right? Look into the perfect law of liberty. That's the perfect law. Well, how do I do it? Rearrange the structure of your mind. The demagnetized piece of steel does not differ in substance from the magnetized. Only the arrangement of its molecules. And then one lifts up enormous weights when it's completely one-pointed. When all these molecules face one direction, it's a powerhouse. The other is scattered. So let not the double-minded man think that he will in any way receive from the Lord, you're told. The same first chapter. If the double-minded man comes, who is unstable in all his ways, let he not think he will receive anything from the Lord. What can you give a man who doesn't know what he wants? I've gone into a restaurant just to prove this principle. Sat down, said to the waiter, what would you like for a tip? And he's embarrassed. I said to my friend, I'll give him what he wants. Within reason, I'm not going to give him any $100 bill, but I'll give him, if he said to me, a $5 bill. He didn't order that which warranted a $5 bill. And he was embarrassed and embarrassed and embarrassed. And all he expected was exactly what he got. He just didn't know. He just had no concept of putting something, of course he didn't know it, so how could he put it to the test? So I am telling you, you rearrange the structure of your mind. That's all you do. It doesn't differ from Einstein's mind. There's only one mind. There's only one God. There's only one Lord. Listen to it. One body, one spirit, one hope, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of us all, who is above all, through all, and in all. If he's in you, that's the same one with the one body, the one spirit. So I'm not using a different mind. It's the same mind, but differently arranged. Go into one room and you see that someone doesn't know what to do with their furniture. Bring someone in who knows how to set a room. Come back an hour later after she's through with it, and you will think you're in an entirely different home. So, with what you have, all you need is exactly what you have, for you have the mind of God. It's not a different mind, the same mind. And you simply rearrange the mind by a mere assumption. What would the feeling be like were it true? That I am now the man that I want to be, now the woman that I want to be. But it's added, but persevere. You must persevere in it. If I call you now and you answer, it's one thing. Well, will you respond an hour later to the same call? Then if you persevere, you will. If now, an hour later, you think of yourself as you now, when you dare to assume that you are now the man that you want to be, an hour later, are you still assuming that state? If you're not persevering. You are the hearer who looked into the mirror with his natural face and he saw it. Then he went his way and at once forgot what he looked like. So if 1 hour from now you're not still assuming that you are the man that you want to be, you've forgotten. You are the hearer and not the doer. And he warns us of the vast difference between being a hearer and being a doer. The doer acts. God only acts and is in existing beings or men. So bear in mind that your wonderful world is not bounded by your senses. You perceive far, far more than your sense, no matter how acute it is, could discover. Your senses can't discover what now you're capable of assuming that you are. Your senses dictate what reason will allow. And your reason and your senses are bound together. Go beyond it. For what you now know from experience, what you know from the past, will not be what you will know when you know more than you now know. But having done it and proven it, I know more than I did when I was bounded by my senses. So I'm telling you from experience, it doesn't fail, but we must not simply be hearers of the word. We must be doers of the word. For if you are a hearer and not a doer, you deceive yourself, he tells you. For we are the operant power. This law doesn't operate itself. It doesn't care if you're good, bad, or indifferent. Look around the world. Who would think that tonight someone serving life sentence in our jail is the same mind that sits in the White House? And he who is being born on the backs of strong, strapping men does not differ from those who are his slaves bearing him. The same mind, but they have rearranged their mind to be slaves. And he has arranged his mind to be the Father, to be Papa, the great Pope. Same mind. There is only one mind in the world. There aren't two minds. That's why I can tell you, I know that when he stands before you, he will know you as his Father. And you will know him as your Son. Are we not the same Father? The same mind, the same spirit, the same body, without loss of identity. So I'm telling you tonight, try it. Try it every moment of time. You know tonight what you want to be. I don't care what you want to be. It's simply a rearrangement of the mind. And you rearrange the mind not through any study and any effort. It's simply a mere assumption. What do I want to be? Get it clear in my mind's eye. Well, then assume that I am it. Listen to the words in the book of Joel. Let the weak man say, I am strong. You're called upon when you are dumb to assume that you are exactly what you want to be. Not dumb because you don't want to be that. You want to be as free as the wind. Well, assume that you are. May I tell you in a way that no one knows you'll become it. But you must persevere. And the word perseverance is true. If I don't believe it, well then 1 second later, I've turned back to my former state. You turn back to the state you said you would leave behind you. And looking back, you were salty. You were preserved in it. So turn away from what you really want to be. Turn back, you're going to be salted in it. So I ask you to leave what you are, unless you like what you are. There's portions of what you are today that you like. All right, wonderful. There are other portions that you do not like. Well, you don't have to give up everything in your living room when you rearrange the structure of it. Certain pieces that you'll keep. You may change this location, but you'll keep it. The same thing is true with the structure of the mind. You keep certain things and you let other things go. Take friends in your world who are not doing well, rearrange them in your mind's eye, and they're doing well. So put that part of the structure in your mind's eye. Rearrange the entire structure and dare to assume that it's true and walk in that assumption. And that assumption, though at the moment is denied by reason and denied by your senses, if you persevere in it, it will harden into fact. So go out and do not abolish anything, simply fulfill it. Fulfill the law and fulfill the prophets. The prophets, when they're fulfilled, that's done by sheer grace. That comes. That comes by promise. And no one's going to stop it, may I tell you. But you could go on living in a state that you do not wish in this world. But in spite of that, you will still receive the promise, because it isn't given to the one who is rich and deny the one who is poor. But why remain poor and bat your head out morning, noon, and night against the inevitable blows in this world? I hope you do not wish money for the sake of money, but if you need money, well then apply this law. What would the feeling be like if it were true that I was now free of this pressure, free of it? Dare to assume that you are, and then persist in that assumption, and that assumption will harden into reality.